Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. And this week, I am so excited to introduce you to my guest this week, Lulu. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. And so, Walnut, Lulu and I actually met in one of my past lives when I was a travel agent. That is the beginning of our love story. But before we kind of talk about that, Lulu, can you just introduce yourself? Let us know who you are and what you kind of do in life.
Yep. So I live in New Plymouth in Taranaki, which is in New Zealand. I used to live in Wellington, which is where Laz was my travel agent and where we met. But I live here with my partner and my dog. By day, I have a regular job in marketing and graphic design, a corporate job, which I really, really love. I really enjoy it. But outside of work, I also like to do lots of experimenting with baking, cooking, sugar-free, low-carb, keto-friendly type of foods, and hang out with my dog all the time, all day, every day.
We have a lot of walnuts who love to hang out with their dogs specifically.
Yeah.
So I love that.
It's like very crucial part of introducing myself. It's like part of my identity.
I love that. And he's so prominent on all of the things that you share at all times.
Yes, he's a regular feature on all of my Instagram stories and the likes.
Yes. So I invited Lulu on here, Walnut, because, well, for lots of reasons really, but our love story started at the travel agency, as I kind of mentioned earlier, where I booked a couple of big trips for you, hey, where it was just like we kind of just clicked. It was this personable thing, and we kind of just got on with the vibe of each other, I suppose. It's like when you want to buy something off anybody in real life or online, where it was just like, oh, I really like this person.
Yeah, and travel particularly is a big monetary investment, you know, like it's generally an expensive thing to do, especially for me at the time. It was a lot of savings going into it, so I really wanted to trust somebody, you know, and I felt that when you were my travel agent, you were very trustworthy. You know, we were similar age kind of thing, so I felt like we really related. And I remember after my first trip coming back in to tell you all about it and saying like, oh, I wanted to like tag you in my Instagram stories, but I couldn't find you because I was looking up your like full name from your email signature, and I couldn't find you. And you said, oh yeah, we can follow each other on Instagram. I'm Laz Mataz. And I was like, oh, well, that explains why I couldn't find you. And so then we started following each other, and then you did another trip for me, and so that's kind of where we've just kind of stayed connected, you know, watching each other's lives from a distance over Instagram, as you know we do with lots of people in our life. You know, if you are not physically close together or you don't catch up in person often, you can still, you know, be very up to date with what's going on in people's lives. So I saw kind of the podcast start to pop up. I saw a little bit of Walnut Wednesday stuff start to pop up on your personal Instagram, and was kind of like, oh, she sounds like she's got something interesting going on. And then it wasn't until much later that I actually started listening, but I was very intrigued by it. I was like, oh, this, you know, every now and then I'd see something in person, I'd be like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder if I would benefit from listening to that. Oh, that's really interesting. I wonder if I should join the group, blah, blah, blah. And I actually attempted to get into it. Like I've never been a podcast person, so I hadn't listened to any podcasts before ever. Walnut Wednesday is my first ever podcast that I've become a listener of, because I was like, oh, you know, it's somebody that I know. I'm really going to be interested in what she has to say. And so I jumped on. It took me a couple of attempts. I listened to episode 1 like 3 times, I think, because I listened to it and then I was like, okay, cool. Now I understand the context. And then like a couple of months went past, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start listening to this podcast, but I've forgotten everything that you talked about in episode 1, where you kind of set the scene and explain the walnut thing. And so I was like, oh, I'll listen to it again. And then I think I listened to like episode 1 and 2, and then I lost it for a couple of months. And then again, I went back and I was like, oh, I have to start from the start again. So I actually started over a few times before I became an avid listener and a member of the tree. And so now it's my fave podcast, and I'm still a bit behind because obviously I was late. So yeah, I think I'm about 20 episodes behind where you're up to at the moment.
Oh, that's fine, because it will just continue to keep going anyway. It's not like the episodes are in any particular order or whatever. It's just as stuff pops up. So I guess I'm really happy that we like reconnected over Walnut Wednesday. And
I love it.
you did end up falling back into like my life in a different way, because like you say, we were just kind of like liking each other's stuff, but we get to like reconnect in a more personal level within the Walnut Tree on Facebook. So I love it, and I love you're a very avid celebrator within the group, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how that might have felt for you to sort of start doing, because I'm really similar to your journey with podcasts, where my first one was the Abundant Babes podcast with Viola Hug, where I kind of just started diving into all this personal development, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? So I would love to know from your perspective, how did it feel when you first started sort of contributing within the online space that we've got?
Yeah, I think it was interesting, because when I started listening to the podcast, you talked about the group a lot, but I wasn't quite ready yet to become a member of the Walnut Tree. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to listen to this podcast forever or not. So I just kept listening, and then there was a few kind of times where you just referenced that, oh, we're having this conversation over in my group. Oh, we've talked about this a bit over in my group, and I started to feel like, oh yeah, this is the next extension of me, being a part of this and listening to this, and I want to join this community. So I got in there, and then the celebration thread every month is definitely the easiest way to engage with the group, especially being a newbie, not really knowing any of the other people other than you who are sitting inside it. The celebration group's just somewhere where you can basically practice gratitude and celebrate the small wins. And I think it's something that's really important, because it's really easy to forget to do. Like, it's really easy to, in your everyday life, to just forget to stop and take a breath and go, that was actually a small win, and I should feel really glad about that, and I should tell someone about that. And so it's really nice to have that as a little reminder to just go, oh, actually, like, what did you do that was a fun little thing that you can celebrate? And I find that if I forget to contribute to the thread for a while, then I might come on and maybe like a week or so has gone past, and then I'm like, oh, okay, let me actually sit down and take a minute to think back over the week about some little wins that I had, or some little things that I want to celebrate, or something small that I'm really grateful for, that I want to share with the group. So I think that's a good practice, because it's similar to like gratitude journaling or anything like that, where if you forget to do it, if you don't embed it into your everyday life, and you don't remind yourself to actively practice being grateful for things, then it's really easy to just forget altogether. And then before you know it, you sit down and you go, what can I even celebrate over the past month? And it's like you've kind of forgotten all about it. And then, if you look at that from an external view, it's like, oh, well, you actually haven't celebrated yourself in such a long time. So I think it's important to have those little moments where you just sit and reflect and go. And sometimes I don't go on there because I'm like, I've got something I want to tell the group. I go on there without anything in mind, and I just read everyone else's, and then I really challenge myself. And so it makes me come up with some of those smaller things that's just like, oh, I showed my manager something at work today and he really liked it, or I took my dog for a walk and he actually listened when I called him. It's just like little things like that. That's like, if there's nothing big and dramatic going on in my life to celebrate, there's no new job, or there's no money coming in, or there's no big exciting thing, then I'm really challenged to think of some of those small wins that are still just as equally worth celebrating and sharing.
Yes. Oh my
Does that
gosh.
make sense? Sorry, that was a very long answer.
No, I was thinking a woman after my own heart, because that is exactly what I have created it for. And it was a personal thing to begin with as well, where it was just like, oh, I'm going to create this for myself so that I have something to refer back to and keep coming back to. I have phases where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on every day and think of something. And then, I'm a human and life happens. And sometimes I don't. And like you, I go back and go, I'm sure there's got to be something that I can celebrate for myself today. And then you read the other ones and you go, oh my God, there's so much. And then they just keep coming.
Yeah, and before you know it, you're looking at your whole day through this really positive, really celebratory and really grateful lens.
Yes, I love that so much. And one thing I wanted to sort of start talking to you a little bit about is how you show up on TikTok and stuff. And it's reminded me of when you did a sort of like 7 days of how you can move challenge or something,
Yes.
where you kind of, what you did was have lots of different, well, you can talk us through it, Lulu, but lots of different ideas, so that when you had a day where you're like, I don't know what I want to do, you could just pull something out. And I feel like that's what the celebration thread is. It's just another one of those modalities that you can just pull to use as a walnut to think of something to be grateful for, to celebrate, to brag about yourself or whatever. But so yeah, that's the celebration thread. But Lulu, talk me through that idea of the 7 day thing, because that was actually really fun to follow along with. And
so that was I think that was reasonably close after New Year, like right at the start of the year, and I've fluctuated my levels of physical activity a lot in my life. So there's been times where I'm an avid boot camper, and there's been times where I'm a runner, and there's been times where I'm a lazy slob and I don't work out at all. So I'm kind of all over the show. I find it really difficult to be consistent with anything other than walking the dog. And the only reason I'm reasonably consistent with walking the dog is because if I don't, he looks at me and does a sad face and I feel guilty. So at the start of the year, I'd been thinking, I need to start moving more again. I need to mix it up and I need to start moving more. And I thought, what are just a bunch of just different things that I can try, because then maybe I'll find something new, or maybe I'll enjoy something more than I thought I would. And if I push myself out of the comfort zone of just walking the dog, it will push me to definitely physically challenge myself a bit more, because I was still trying to walk the dog as well as doing my own workout. So I just brainstormed in my journal just like a whole lot of different, can I dance? Can I do vacuuming? Can I do yard work and gardening? Can I go for a run? Can I do some yoga? Can I bounce on the trampoline at my sister's house? Like all these just like big and small things. Can I do, like, we've got a home gym, so I'm quite well equipped to do a weights workout, but I kind of knew that that's not really what I wanted to do. So I just brainstormed all these ideas, and then I was like, right, 7 days, I'm going to do 7 ways. I'm going to move my body in 7 different ways. I'm not allowed to repeat the same thing. And it just pushed me to, kind of do something different, because when I wanted to have a day where I was like, oh, I want to pick something easy, it was like, oh, well, I can't, because I already did walking yesterday and I can't pick that again. Or like, oh, well, I can't just go for a run because I already did a walk and a run. So I'm going to have to push myself to do something different. And then when I finished the 7 days, I had enjoyed it so much, I didn't want to commit to 30 different ways in 30 different ways. So I just said, I'm going to carry on for the month and see how many I can get to. And I think at the end of the month, I was up to like 17 or something, 17 different ways that I'd move my body. And so, it was almost just a cool way to kind of put all these ideas in my toolkit, especially because it was summer. There was one occasion where I'd gone to a friend's birthday party and it was a pool party. So I'd done like an hour's worth of pool volleyball in the swimming pool. And then there was like, there was running, there was walking. There was a day where I just did yard work, like just tons of like trimming trees and stuff around the house. There was a day where I just like vacuumed and mopped my whole entire house and then my whole entire garage. And I was just absolutely dead afterwards. And I know for some people where they're like, that's not a workout, that's just like what you have to do to clean your house. But like for somebody who had been on the couch a lot lately, was quite strenuous. So yeah, it just really pushed me outside of defaulting to something easy, which is like, oh, I want to work out and I want to move my body, but I'll just walk the dog. So it kind of pushed me outside of that. And I also tried to add on to that stretching every day. And I think that was when I did do morning stretches at least 5 minutes for the whole 30 days. Is there 30 days or 31 days in January? 30 days, right?
I'm not sure. I did
31, maybe there's 31 days. Anyway, I stretched every morning, and that did carry on for a while. I've definitely gotten a bit slack on my stretching now, and also gotten a bit slack on my physical activity. But it just gave me this this toolkit of like, okay, well, if I ever think, what can I possibly do to work out that's going to be fun, I can just go back to that and go, do you know what, I actually really enjoyed that. Or like, oh, what can I do if I want to work out but I've only got 15 minutes in the morning? Then I can remember when I did that challenge, and it's like, oh, I just looked up on YouTube 15-minute HIIT workout, no equipment, and I literally just followed along that YouTube video, and things like that. So it was just a really good way to kind of build up that toolkit. But like I say, I've ebbed and flowed all of my different amounts of physical activity, and so I'm a little bit slack on that front at the moment.
Yes, I resonate with being a fluctuator, and I'm currently I have couch potatoed for a little while, and I literally have just been saying to Geordie all this week, I would like to continue walking more and doing like a few squats before every walk and some press-ups.
Yeah.
And I've even been wondering how I can fit in a little 15-minute HIIT in the mornings and try and get so I'm going back on going to gym. I just want to commend you, Lulu, on the personal grit it takes and push yourself, because that takes a lot too. Another
and I think it was a bit of a scary thing to share publicly, right? Because I knew that there was going to be people watching these videos of me doing a 15-minute YouTube workout and be like, oh my God, can't you just go to the gym? Or like, that's so easy, why don't you do a real workout type of thing? And it was just a way of just putting myself out there in a really authentic way that was like, this is me, and by my standards, this is challenging. And if you're watching these videos and you're thinking that's not challenging for me, and I think Lulu's really pathetic, then don't follow me. I'm not the person for you. That's fine. Like that, carry on scrolling. Like I've got no problem with that. It was just an authentic way to say, this is something I'm trying to do. And this is the way that I've gone about it. And maybe there are people out there in the same boat as me. And I've had the same thing like recently, because about like a month or so ago, I'm not a morning person, right? And I just started trying to do early mornings, and I was like, it's winter now, daylight savings is over, I have to walk my dog in the morning because I need to get it out of the way, because by the time I finish work in the evening, it's quite dark, it's quite cold, I'm really unmotivated, so I need to start getting this walk. And I got into this great habit, walk my dog at 6:45 every morning, and the walk that I had mapped out was 3Ks if I did it the short way, and 3.5 if I did it a slightly longer way. And I'd got into this great routine, and then I got really sick. I had the Rona, and so that's kind of where it's kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit now, is that definitely maximum couch potato mode for a few weeks, just with the fatigue creeping in, and we got the flu straight after. So we had a substantial amount of time of just feeling really average and spending a lot of time on the couch. So that's now, like today, currently, that's my goal now, is like, I just need to walk my dog in the morning. And every morning I wake up to my alarm, and my dog's hopped up in my bed with me, and he doesn't even want to go outside. He's like, oh, it's cold. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. It's cold. So that's the challenge for me at the moment, is I'm just trying to get up a little bit earlier, and I'm trying to walk my dog in the morning, because it takes so much pressure off me in the evenings. So that's definitely the current that's the current challenge I'm facing, is just getting back into that routine, making it really regular. And
always finding something that you can be trying to do better, or make your life easier, so you don't have to walk the dog in the evening, right? And I was going to ask about the sharing on the social media stuff, and I think that's why I find your your social medias, all the ones, really fun to follow along with. And I really enjoyed when you were ill and not feeling too well, how you were very honest with your follow. I know a lot of people follow you for your keto recipes and stuff and the cooking that you do, aka me, because I love watching the cooking and I love experimenting with cooking. And I loved how you were very honest with the fact that you had fallen off the keto bandwagon and trying to get back on it. And at the moment, you're kind of doing a bit of a food diary where it's like a tick and a not so keto.
Yeah.
Can you, can you please talk to that a little bit, Lulu? Because it's one of my favorite things when I open my TikTok. I'm like, I hope I see something of Lulu's.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm so glad to hear that. When we got sick, usually this is the thing, right? I've been following a keto diet or some variation of quite a low carb diet for 2 years now. And generally when I feel sick, I'm able to stick to it still. Generally there's special occasions I'll usually stick to it. There are, usually over Christmas I'll have a break, or if there's a wedding I'll have a break. It's very much a lifestyle, and so I haven't really had many occasions that I've like fully spent several weeks going back to eating regular kind of junk food. But when we got sick, I think a tricky part about the keto diet specifically is that convenience foods are really difficult. So there's not a lot of kind of like sweets and treats and junk food that is keto friendly that's just right there at the supermarket. Usually you have to order online from kind of specialty stores, or you need to make it yourself. And same with takeaways. Like if you want takeaways, and I also live in a small town where I don't have a lot of options for takeaways, so it's like kind of that's one aspect of this way of eating that I find quite challenging. And so when we were sick, we just ordered groceries and had some junk food dropped off by family members doing our groceries for us. And like it was like meant to be for my partner, but then I was like, oh well, I'm sick, so I'll just eat the crappy food that you're having. And then we just got so fatigued that it was like, I just can't get up and cook in the kitchen, right? Like I have plenty of groceries to make meat and salad, which is what I would usually have, but like I just can't get up and cook meat and make a salad in the kitchen. Like I just want to sit on the couch. And so we had kind of takeaways dropped off that was enough to last us 2 nights. And then I think I just got really comfortable in being a little bit more lazy, and that was kind of the nice thing. It's like those convenience foods, and then once we were out of isolation, it was like, oh well, let's just get some junk food and watch some more movies because we're still really fatigued. And so it was just the circumstances just made it a really easy time to slip back into that. And at first I just didn't really say anything on Instagram. I was just sharing more about kind of my symptoms and what Disney movies I was watching and things like that.
By the way.
And so I kind of was just avoiding the topic. And then at one point I was like, do you know what? I feel a bit fraudulent, and I just want to confess to everybody my sins. And so I just kind of told everyone, like, look, I'm not following a keto diet at the moment. I'm okay with it. I've just been really sick. It's been really hard. I am going to try and get back to it, but kind of bear with me type of thing. And I kind of predicted that I might lose quite a number of Instagram followers because I have, a lot of my followers are there for that type of content, and same with TikTok. Most of my TikTok followers are there for recipe videos and things. So I thought, oh, okay, here my follower count's going to probably take a bit of a hit, and then it didn't. And then even some of the people kind of in my little we have a bit of a community, of like keto Instagram pages, and we message each other and stuff. And even some of them were just like, don't even worry, it's fine, you'll be fine. Everybody falls off the wagon sometimes, like good on you for being honest, but don't stress about it type of thing. So that was really lovely, and it made me feel a lot better. I think I just kind of took that weight off my chest. And so then this week and last week have kind of been, I'm in this transition phase where I'm trying to move back towards that, because I've been doing like eating in this way for a long time, that I know that it's what makes my body feel best, and I know that it's what makes my energy levels feel best. So I do want to get back to it, but it has been hard. I've been, you know, I was eating hot chips for like 2 weeks straight. Do you know how hard it is to give up hot chips? It's very hard. And just things like that. So that's why I've just started sharing these little food diaries that, yeah, again, are just a little transparent view of me that's just saying, hey, everybody, I'm trying to get back on the wagon, but some days I eat pineapple and some days I have popcorn and some days I'm just eating crap.
Yeah.
Some days are a write-off and I don't even want to tell you what I had because it was so bad. But yeah, so that's where I've kind of landed this week with just kind of posting the food diaries. It's just kind of sitting back and going, oh, I managed to stick to low carb foods for this meal, and this meal, but then in the evening I cracked and I had this, or you know, today I actually had a really good day and everything that I've eaten has been really good. And then the next day it's like, oh, it wasn't so good. So I think it's okay to share that, and it makes people feel a little bit better if they're in the same boat, you know.
Absolutely. And that's life, right? That's like normal human behavior. It's like it would be boring. It would be absolutely boring if you were good all the time, because then you wouldn't have like a feeling of accomplishment or feelings of like, oh, I could have done better, or you know, life is nothing without these like feelings. No, not good or bad, but different feelings. So I just want to commend you on your honesty and also your determination and your like grit for doing stuff, for always looking to do stuff for yourself. I'd like, you're so inspiring to me.
Oh, thanks. That's so nice.
Do you find, Lulu, with the social media thing, I kind of feel like I keep wanting to come back to it, but do you find that it's almost like a form of your accountability, or is it something that you like, you started making these like videos for fun, or what is it about posting on social media? Because I know that there are a lot of walnuts who are listening who like, it's scary. It's so scary to like post online, and like from experience, it was scary for me to like start this podcast or even go on live videos. So I'd love to just ask your point of view on the actual sharing of stuff and how it felt for you in the beginning and how it's transitioned to now.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of all of those things, right? So it's a bit of accountability. Definitely when I first started, it was like I wanted to kind of share about it. To kind of hold myself accountable and make that commitment and say, I'm doing this, and make that commitment really publicly, because I didn't want to chicken out. I knew that it was going to work for me. I knew that it was going to be a good decision, but I also knew it was going to be hard, and that if I didn't tell anybody, then maybe I could quite easily chicken out. So I was like, if I just start putting this out there and saying, this is how I eat now, and then I feel a little bit more accountable, and I don't want to go back on that word. And then, I think especially with TikTok, once I started posting sort of recipes and what I eat in a day, I started making those types of videos on TikTok, and I just had a really kind of good response that I wasn't expecting. I was kind of new to the platform. I didn't have a big following, and then I kind of got followers, and people were saying nice things, and lots of people were liking my videos, and the algorithm is pretty cool over there. Like, I felt like it was I was able to get my stuff out there to way more people compared to Instagram, where I just haven't cracked the algorithm in Instagram, and I don't know how to reach more people. It's so hard. So I found that I was kind of just getting seen a bit more, and that just made me really excited. I think it was just really exciting, and for me to go, oh cool, if I make this, other people will see it and like put some work and share some recipes and share some really interesting things, and people really liked it. So it was kind of very encouraging for me to kind of carry on. And then obviously the diet was quite successful for me in terms of weight loss, but also in other kind of health aspects. And so once I started sharing about that, again, people were really supportive on both TikTok and Instagram. And so there's a bit of everything. There's a bit of just excitement, and it's also a bit of a outlet of creativity for me. Like, I'm a really creative person. I work in a creative field doing graphic design and marketing anyway, but it's like a way to kind of express myself creatively in my personal life, I think. Like a little piece of me outside of work. So it was really fun. It was also just like a cool way for me to learn the platform, TikTok especially, and learn more about Instagram. trying to figure out how reels work, things like that. So all of it's just been like a learning experience, learning the platforms. And yeah, so there's an element of everything. There's an element of creativity, there's an element of accountability, there's an element of just being really excited, there's an element of wanting to help other people, kind of spreading the word, getting my message out. It's all of those things, I think.
Yeah, I love it. Please just continue to do what you do. Do you want to quickly share what your handles are so the Walnuts listening can go and follow along with you and be obsessed like me?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at Lulu Deam. Deam is an unusual surname. It's Deam. Everybody always gets it wrong. So if you can't find me, it's probably because you spelled it wrong. And TikTok is Lulu_Deam. So they're the same, just TikTok had an underscore because somebody had already taken Lulu Deam. I don't know who, but that's okay.
Awesome. And I will put those links in the show notes to Walnut if you want to go and give Lulu a follow. Before we kind of wrap up, curious question though, what's your favorite keto recipe that you have created?
Oh, that is a loaded question.
There's so many, it depends on your mood too, doesn't it?
It kind of depends, yeah. I am a big fan of kind of like sweet foods. So that was kind of the main place where I started experimenting, is because, like I say, there weren't a lot of like keto friendly sweet treats that you can just grab off the shelf. So I have like a favorite like chocolate chip cookie recipe that I quite like to make. But then there's also one of my faves is like it's almost like a keto muesli bar, like a keto like granola bar, and it's basically just like tons and tons of nuts and seeds, and then like peanut butter and coconut oil is like what's holding it together. So it's just like this delicious muesli bar that's like all full of good crunchy stuff, but also peanut buttery goodness. So that's one probably on my list to make again soon, because I haven't had that for a while. What else? I don't know. That's definitely one of the favorites that comes to mind straight away. I feel like I do a lot of sweet foods and I don't actually dabble in a lot of savory foods, because like my standard like dinners are just meat and salad, which is like really quite boring and not very inventive.
No, but so enjoyable, because I remember when I was probably the leanest I've ever been. My flatmate was a personal trainer, so that also helped. And I don't think it was like a full keto diet, but it was very low carb, and that's what I found the most enjoyable was actually dinners, because it was like just meat and veg or salad, and it was so easy and delicious. So I love it. But thank you for sharing, Lulu. Before we end this episode, I just want to say thank you so much for being yourself and for always pushing yourself, and for contributing in the Walnut Tree, because it's such a joy when I come in there and I see that you've really embraced celebrating yourself and celebrating all the things.
It's such a good community to be a part of. I think that I kind of came into it a bit like, oh, I'm not sure, like I don't know, but I love reading through the celebration thread and just reading other people's little wins for the week, and I just think it's so cool.
Oh yeah, thank you very, very much. It's such a joy, and it's a joy to have you back in my life, and in the Walnut part of my life, because like I feel like my work life, we had already had that little bond, but like I don't know, it just makes it even more special. So I just
feel like if we did live in the same city, our dogs would be friends and we would go on dog dates.
They absolutely would. I feel like a lot of our comments are all about our dogs.
Yeah, obviously.
Token question, Lulu. So what does being a walnut mean to you?
So I knew this question was coming, so I was trying to think about it, and I want to kind of preempt it with like a couple of things that I heard in early episodes of your podcast that kind of resonated, and they're kind of going to lead me to my answer, right? So I think it might have been Kate, or it was a guest you had on really early, and you guys talked about how confidence is courage compounded, right? And then I think you've referred to that in a few more episodes as you've gone on, and I thought, oh, that's really actually very interesting. It is just being brave and being really courageous, and it just outwardly comes across as confidence. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And then there was another episode where you just talked about confidence is just doing, like it's just doing. It's not sitting there and thinking about it, it's doing it. And I thought that is really interesting. And the more I like applied that to different aspects, I thought, yeah, you know what, if I look at a girl wearing a bikini on the beach and I think, wow, she is so confident, you know, she probably feels the same way about wearing it that I would feel about wearing it, you know, a little bit unsure, a little bit nervous, a little bit worried what people would think. But the difference between her and me is that she just did it, right? That's the only difference. And I might think the same thing about someone starting a podcast. I'm like, wow, she is so confident. I can't believe she started her own podcast. Like, she just has so much confidence. And again, it doesn't mean that you didn't feel all those same things. You didn't feel that kind of like discomfort or uncertainty about it when you started it, but the difference is that you still did it. Like the reason that you come across confident is the doing, right? And it can be applied to anything. You know, you think about me, you know, sharing the things that I share about diet or weight loss or recipes or things like that on social media, and some people might say, oh, it's so cool that Lulu shares recipes, like I don't have the confidence for that. And it's like, well, actually it might look really confident outwardly, but it's actually just, I'm still feeling all the same things. I'm still feeling unsure if people are going to like it. I'm still worrying that somebody might put something mean in the comments. I'm still, you know, really unsure. I'm still feeling a bit nervous, but the difference between that person and me is that I'm just doing it anyway. So I think that that's all stuff that I'm always like often thinking about. And that's been something that's like just really resonated with me. And every time you talk about confidence on the podcast, I'm always like, yep, that's it. It's the doing. So I think, yeah, being a walnut to me is all about the doing. It's basically about finding something that you know aligns with you and doing it, like regardless of what you feel. So it's about finding things or knowing things or exploring things or researching things that you know will benefit you and then doing them. And so that comes in all sorts of forms, you know. It's doing, it's, you know, doing celebrations for little things in your life. It's doing challenging things that you thought might be hard. So it's doing. That's the best way I can sum it up.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And me and Lulu were talking offline one night, and I was like, I'm probably going to cry because I'm premenstrual. And I have a little tear in my eye because I thought that was absolutely beautiful. That was the most wonderful definition of a walnut. Being a walnut is doing.
It is just doing. And so outwardly, people probably are looking at us thinking like, wow, these walnuts, they're so confident. How did they get so confident? That's the secret. The secret is in the doing.
Yeah.
There's no confidence isn't this magic secret ingredient that makes you not feel those things. It doesn't take away uncertainty, and confidence doesn't delete uncertainty and delete the kind of nervousness or the discomfort or any of that. It just is doing it anyway.
Absolutely delicious, nutritious, beautiful, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you are so wise, and that was so wonderful. And it makes me feel very humbled and special that you got that bubble up your butt from listening to some episodes on confidence. So I feel really happy.
I think both of those things, I think they're like quite far back, like right in the early days of, you know, maybe just double digits, not triple digit. But they were really things that kind of really stuck with me. And then all of the other times that you've talked about confidence, it's always like pinged that little reminder in my head. I'm like, oh, that's right, it's all about the doing. Oh, it's about courage compounded. It's all about doing stuff anyway. I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, Lulu, thank you so much. It was so lovely to have you on Walnut Wednesday. Such a privilege, actually. I feel very, very lucky to have had this conversation. And Walnut, I'm so happy for you to be listening in on this conversation. So if you enjoyed it, Walnut, please share and tag us on the Instagrams and let us know what you enjoyed, or jump into the Walnut Tree and let us know if you've got any other questions, or if you want to follow Lulu on the social medias for recipes, inspiration, divine, wonderful nutritiousness.
And also for dog pictures.
And all the dog pictures. Yeah, Crash shows up definitely minimum once, but more than that, I think. All the time. So thank you so much for your time, Walnut, and for listening. And Lulu, again, thank you for showing up for yourself, for all of us, for all the wonderful, amazing things that you do in the world. I am privileged, again, to know you, and I'm so happy that we've reconnected in a little Walnut bubble now. So I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, and I'm so thankful that you had me here, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this little community. I love it. So thank you for having me.
Have a happy Walnut Wednesday, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.